What's up, boys and girls? Michael Chandler here. I just wanted to hop on here and talk about a trip that I just took that I feel like it's one of those trips that you take and you feel like it changes the trajectory of your life. You feel like it wells something up inside of you that is just that's been sleeping. It wells something up inside of you that even though what you're doing is hard, even though you're training hard or you're working hard or you're loving hard or you're pursuing hard, you sometimes get used to your hard and it's not as challenging as you would like it to be. So getting outside of your comfort zone, getting around people that do other things that are hard or challenging or scary. And I just spent 2.5, almost 3 days with a guy named Cameron Haynes. If you don't know who Cameron Haynes is, look him up on social media. He did just start a podcast. What Cam does is he is a endurance runner, athlete of sorts. He is a bow hunter. He is probably the biggest bow hunter on the planet, the biggest named bow hunter on the planet. Works with big companies such as Hoyt, and has his own line of bows, has his own line of running shoes in the past. The guy has just captured and captivated so many millions of people because he's authentic and he also is unique. He's been known to run a marathon in a day. Yeah, that's 26.2 miles in one day for multiple days in a row. He doesn't do it every day. He wants to clarify he doesn't run a marathon every single day because we were talking about that and people always come up and be like, "Hey, you're that guy that runs a marathon a day." He's like, "Well, I have, but I don't every day." But anyways, I digress. So I went out to Oregon, spent a couple days with him, and what we were going to do was lift, run, and shoot. So we were going to lift weights, we were going to run, and we were going to shoot bows. And I just had a couple takeaways from it that I really just kind of wanted to talk about because I was thinking about it and I was actually journaling for myself. And why should I just keep it on my own little tablet on my pieces of paper and not put it out there? Because I think there's some lessons in there. And I think we go through life and we are unhappy with the mundane, or we are unhappy with the uniform, or unhappy with the kind of just boring succession of days turning into months and months turning into years without really going out there and pursuing things that we truly want or that are going to truly well something up inside of us. So the first takeaway that I had, and Cam and I talked about this a lot over the 3 days, because we spent a lot of time, even while we were running, we were able to talk, except for when we were running up mountains, which I'll get into in a second. But we spent a lot of time driving around in the truck, spent a lot of time in community eating and hanging out. But we were built for community. That was my first takeaway, is we were built for community. And I know this and you know this, but I think a lot of times we need to be reminded. We were built for community. God created us for social interactions and community and taking care of one another. And now that we've grown into this society where we are all connected via social media, via these phones and the internet, I think we overvalue the comments and the likes and the posts out there on social media, and we undervalue the sense of community where we can sit across the table from each other, where we can break bread with each other, where a guy from Missouri who now lives in Nashville can fly up to Oregon and spend a couple days with a guy that he admires and wants to get to know more and wants to do what he does, and it wells something up inside of you. And it reminds me, when we're in community, we can always do more. You're always going to be able to do more, accomplish more, go harder, go for longer, create more, and feel a sense of more of purpose when you are in community. And when you really value community, not just being around people, not just being in the same room with people, not just having acquaintances and having surface level talks, but trying to go deeper with people and get to know them and see them as your equal and they see you as their equal, and that we were all put on this earth to go deeper with each other. As we said, Cam and I have known each other for years now, but it's been very it's been very much texting here and there and social media here and there, and people know that we're friends, and I'm mentioned in his book, and it's a huge honor. He has a book called Endure. He wrote a book. You can pick it up on Amazon or wherever books are sold, but there's a couple stories of us working out together in there. And while that is very humbling for me, we haven't got to spend a ton of time together to get to know each other on a deeper level. So with that, creating that bond and creating that community, creating that relationship made me want to become a better man, become a better father, a better husband, and ultimately become a bigger man of influence to be able to speak to you guys and bring you guys more value. So God created us for community, and we can always do more in community. My second takeaway, you can always do more with people who have been there. I ran a marathon a couple days ago. I ran a marathon while I was there in one day. For those of y'all who follow me, I am not the biggest runner. I can use excuses all day long. I don't have the runner's body. I'm more stout and compact, carry a lot of muscle. Not exactly the runner, the long, slender body type that you would consider a good running body. But when I need to run, I can run. I think the longest I've ever ran at one time was between 7 and 9 miles. We'll call it 8-ish. Our second day when I was with Cam, our first run, we ran, kind of some flat, and then we climbed up a mountain in Oregon called Mount Pisgah. So anybody who knows Cam knows that he always runs and jumps on top of that monument at the top of Mount Pisgah. It's about 1,100 feet of gain. So I think we started at like 400 feet above sea level and ended up at 1,500. So it's about 1,100 feet of gain. And then Cam I think we got back in the truck, and Cam checked his monitor, his whatever he uses to track his miles, and realized we did about 11 miles. And he kind of jokingly, tongue in cheek, said, "Well, shit, we already did 11. We might as well just do a marathon today." And I looked over at him and said, "Yeah, actually, yeah, let's do a marathon." And then for a second, we kind of joked about it, because once again, I had just broken my record for the longest run that I've ever ran at one time. Before that, it was 7, 8, 9 miles. Like I said, I wasn't not quite sure, but I already ran 11. So I already broke my first personal best. And then that meant later on that night, after we lifted, after we hung out a little bit, we were going to run over 15 miles to hit our 26.2. So that meant the second run, which is going to be at night, which is going to be in the rain, which is going to be cold, which is going to be dark, was going to be over 15 miles. But my second takeaway is you can always do more with people who have been there. Get around people who inspire you to where it makes things attainable. If you would have asked me right now, "Hey, Michael, you want to run a marathon?" No way, man. I don't think I could do it. I don't think my body could literally hold up. I don't think my ankles, my feet, my knees, I don't think my endurance would take me there. I don't think I can run 26 miles in one day. But then you get around a guy who has run a marathon in a day, multiple days in succession, and it reminds you that God created us for so much more than we could think or imagine. It reminds you that, well, if he can do it, not saying that I'm as good of a runner as he is, but he is a human being who puts his pants on one leg at a time, just like me. He's got the same color blood pumping through his veins. Why can't I do it? So part of that second takeaway, you can always do more with people who have been there. Get around people who will push you, and people that inspire you, and people who make things attainable. Not only did I run a marathon that day, I also shot and popped a balloon at 74 yards with a bow. Now, I do have a bow. I haven't shot it in probably since I moved to Nashville, so I haven't shot it in 5 years. Last time I shot it, I was in San Diego when I lived there and I moved here. So I have not shot a bow in 5 years. And then within 24 hours, Cam had me shooting and popping a balloon at 74 yards on a bighorn elk target, or a bighorn sheep target, 74 yards away. So when you get around people who have been there, done that, they also instill a certain confidence in you through osmosis that, hey, you can do this. It's kind of like if you and I were going to go work out and do some wrestling, do some grappling, do what I'm good at, or lifting some weights. I would imagine there's going to be a little bit of an intimidation factor, but there's also going to be when I look you in the eyes and say, hey, I promise you, you can do this. Promise you, we're going to do one more set, or we're going to do a little bit of work here, or we're going to do a little bit of work here. And I promise you, you can do this. This is attainable. Why? Because you've seen me do it, and I've seen other people do it. And I watched Cam via social media run a marathon in a day, so that it makes me think and unlocks the keys to the door that says, hey, I can do it. I've seen Cam shoot 120 yards with a bow and pop a balloon. So if he can shoot 120, well, maybe I can shoot 74 or whatever it was. First takeaway, we were built for community. Go deeper with people and want to go deeper and want to find more meaningful relationships. Number 2, we can always do more with people who have been there and done that. Number 3, the third takeaway, when your eyes have been opened, you come back rejuvenated. You're ready to do more. You're ready to see more of what is possible because you have just done something that you didn't quite know was possible. So I came back from this trip really, really rejuvenated. Not only because I think it had a lot to do with, and this should always be our goal. You know, if somebody came and spent a couple days with me, I would hope that they would leave rejuvenated and say, you know what? I want to live a little bit more like Michael. I want to be a little bit more like Michael. Hey, he opened my eyes to this. He opened my eyes to more of my capabilities that I'm just scratching the surface in some of these areas. And that's really what Cam did for me. I got back here. And actually the day that we ran a marathon, and we got done at like 10 something PM, and I should have been dead tired, but I actually went back to my hotel room and I sat there for like an hour after I took a warm shower. Sat there for like an hour and a half. I didn't go to bed because we didn't get done till like 10 something. I didn't go to bed till after 12:30, probably almost 1, because I think obviously my body was still cooling down, but my mind was sharp. I just run 15 and a half miles an hour prior. I just run a marathon that day, the longest I've ever ran by far. And my mind was racing because my heart was full. Because when your eyes have been opened, you come back rejuvenated, and it's a rejuvenation for your soul. It's a rejuvenation for your mind, your heart, your spirit, and what can be accomplished. When you see a guy out there living his dream and living his truth, unwavering in what he believes in, unwavering in how he lives his life, and then you also see the success and the admiration and the adoration that he has in the community, it's pretty remarkable. The way he carries himself, the way he chooses to choose hard and runs, the way he puts his attention to detail into shooting his bow so that he can become the best and most dangerous predator on the planet. So when he is out there hunting, he is honoring those animals by making sure he is in shape, he is sharp, and he is going to have a clean kill in order to honor those animals. The way that he lives his life and the way that he does everything to the best of his ability is downright inspiring, and it shows because he has so many admirers. There are people who there have been thousands, tens of thousands of shoes that have been bought just because Cameron Hanes wears them. There have been tens of thousands of Hoyt bows and the sights and the racks and the releases and all of these different products because Cam uses them. And now he's going to have a bunch of different sponsors. Make sure you guys check out his new podcast. I'm on the first episode, which is a huge honor for me, but he's going to have all these different partners, and people are going to drink the coffee. People are going to take the supplements. People are going to wear the Origin, which he is a part owner of. People are going to use these products because Cameron Hanes puts his name behind him, and he's not an influencer. He is a man of influence. He is a man who inspires and motivates people, and he is so truly authentic to himself. So yeah, the man runs a lot. That's inspiring. Inspires me. Yeah, he can lift a lot, and he's obviously a little bit older than me, but crushing it for his age. Yeah, he can shoot a bow better than anybody, and he can take down an elk 100 yards away through thick timber, and all that's really cool. But I think the authenticity and the unwavering nature in which he lives by, that he's going to be authentically true to himself. I think that's why so many people love him. And that's why so many people admire him. And that in turn, it makes me want to run farther, makes me want to shoot my bow better, makes me want to be, a bigger, tough guy like he is and push myself past the barriers. But it makes me also want to be more authentically me and live my truth. So we were built for community. You can always do more with people who have been there and done that. And when you have had a trip like this, your eyes have been opened and you come back rejuvenated. So seek out those people, seek out those trips, seek out those experiences. And the fourth takeaway was a reminder to, make a list. And I even actually did just make a list yesterday or the day before of find more ways to get around those people, quote unquote, those people, guys like Cameron Haynes, who out there in your social media following that you do follow. Obviously there's going to be people that are untouchable. There's going to be people that you're not going to be able to get around with, but there's people in your social network. There are people in your community, the city that you live in, the town that you live in. There's people a town over. There's people out there that are one phone call, one text, one flight, one bus ride away to get in the same room with, to spend time with. So even if it's just, it's a very selfish ambition, right? Because you want to get around those people to make yourself, to well something up in yourself, to make yourself more happy, healthier, harder to kill, more impactful, a bigger platform, a bigger, just a bigger person internally, not just physically, but spiritually, emotionally. I feel like I made some big time gains physically, obviously lifting with Cam and running with Cam, shooting bow with Cam, but it was more intrinsic. It was more internal. It was more spiritual and mental than it was physical. Although I was extremely sore for a couple days. Yesterday or the day before, I went to go actually get my son up in the morning at whatever time he woke up, like 6:30, Ace, and I had to carry him down the stairs. And I was like, whoa, this is a little bit dangerous. Going down the stairs was a little tough for a couple days. But, ultimately, I just wanted to hop on here and just encourage you guys because it was an encouraging time for me. It was an awesome experience for me. And it reminds me that I need to do it more. And it reminds me that that you guys should hopefully be doing it more. And I appreciate you guys. I really do. Find ways to get around people who have been there, done that. Even if you're doing something hard, even if you're doing things to the best of your ability and you're leaving no stone unturned in your business and your relationships and your finance and your even in your physical fitness, the things that we consider hard eventually become somewhat mundane. I can go and spar 20 rounds like a piece of cake because I've been doing it for 15 years. I can do grappling practices 2 hours long nonstop, wrestling practices nonstop, fitness nonstop because I've been doing it for so long. But running was something I didn't do, haven't done a ton of. And running long distances and running mountains like Cam has done was something that was outside of my wheelhouse. So find a new hard every now and then. And before you know it, you will be on the top of a mountain that you've seen a guy that you admire and look up to jump on top of that mountain, or that monument on top of Mount Pisgah. And you get to share those moments with them and you feel like you're on top of the world because you just did something different. So you're created for community. Find those people that inspire you, that well something up inside of you. Do hard things to find the outskirts of your comfort zones, to find the outskirts of your potential. God bless. I'll see you at the top.